Hey there, you dogs of the military. Continuing the journey with the Elric brothers, I'm looking at episodes 3 and 4. The Elric brothers make it to Lior, where they break and fix a radio. The townsfolk, amazed by what they have seen, refer to this as a miracle, much like those performed by Father Cornello, the leader of the town and the church. Much like us, the boys are suspicious. Claims Cornello can bring back the dead intrigue Ed enough to investigate. The boys notice that Cornello uses alchemy, but somehow ignores the rules. Coming to the church, they meet Rose, and ask to meet with Cornello, who, like the people in the town, mistake Al for the Fullmetal Alchemist, which seems to be a common problem. Ed sees through Cornello's claim that he is blessed by the sun god, and Cornello releases a chimera. He then uses his Philosopher's Stone to attack the Elrics. The brothers escape, and Al tells Rose about their story. Ed confronts Father Cornello again, tricking him into revealing his plan to the whole city, the idea cooked up by hearing Cornello on the radio. Cornello attacks Ed, and the alchemy rebounds, causing him to become disfigured. Ed wins, and the stone breaks and disintegrates. The boys are confronted by Rose once again, brandishing a gun. The Elrics, cool as ever, are unfazed and advise the poor girl to move on. The episode ends with Cornello meeting lust and gluttony. This episode gives us more direct parallels between alchemy and religion, Ed even drawing comparisons between alchemy and a miracle.
We observe the physical laws that govern this world to try to learn the truth. It's ironic, really, that through the application of science, we have in many ways been given the power to play gods ourselves.
So you're putting yourself on the same level as God? That's just sheer arrogance!
His speech sounds as if he is being arrogant, that he truly believes what he says. His tone is hard. But then he references the story of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun. His wings melted and he drowned. Ed's point being that he and Al are Icarus, and they paid the price for their arrogance. Rose, like Winry and the boys, has also lost someone close to her. In her grief, she turned to faith and the promise of bringing her lover back. Rose is tested when Cornello tells her to shoot the Elric brothers, and we see what she is willing to pay. When Al is talking with Rose later, she clings to her belief despite what's happened. I also note Al's assertion that they aren't evil, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Rose accuses the brothers of wanting to keep the stone for themselves, to get their bodies back and their mother. This accusation is born of her own desperation, shown inherent in the selfish nature of grief. Even if that was their intention, how is that any worse than her wanting to use it to bring back her husband? Likewise, it was Ed's selfish need to bring back his mother that lost Al's body. Father Cornello refers to the taboo that bringing people back from the dead is strictly forbidden. This isn't his sin. He promised to bring back Rose's husband, but he never had any intention of doing so. His sin is that he uses people's faith to control them. There is an irony that it was lust that he was in bed with, so to speak, as his lust for power and control was his own downfall. Interestingly, for us as a viewer, there is no question to whether or not the sun god is real, as we have seen the truth. Ed came off quite arrogant in the episode, but his attitude does not make him arrogant, as he does indeed speak from a point of true understanding. His arrogance was trying to play God in believing that he could get his mother back for such a paltry price. We open the episode on two new characters. A state alchemist goes head-to-head with an unknown assailant. The Fuhrer turns up to the scene of the crime, advising of the importance of bringing the killer to justice. Ed and Al return to Central, reporting to Colonel Mustang, who introduces the boys to Shao Tucker, the so-in-life alchemist, and his daughter Nina and their dog Alexander. The so-in-life alchemist got his certification by creating a chimera that could talk. Tucker shows the boys to his library, and they get to work seeing if there is anything in his studies that can help them. The boys take a break to play with Nina and Alexander before promising to return the following day. Shao Tucker's annual evaluation is due, and he seems worried about it. The following day, the boys return to continue their studies and take the opportunity to continue playing with Nina and her dog. Meanwhile, Hughes is continuing to investigate the murders of the state alchemists with Lieutenant Armstrong. Back at the Tucker residence, Shao agrees to play with his daughter tomorrow. The boys return the following day to find that Tucker has successfully recreated his experiment to create a chimera that can talk. But it doesn't take long for Ed to figure out how this has happened.
Mr. Tucker, when did you first get your state certification?
Let's see. It was 2 years ago.
And when did your wife leave you?
That was 2 years ago, too.
I just have one more question for you. Nina and Alexander. Where are they?
Discovering that Shao Tucker transmuted his own daughter with their pet dog to keep his State Alchemist certification, he lashes out in anger. Shao Tucker's obsession with remaining a State Alchemist has led to insanity. Mustang sees the similarity in what Tucker has done with the way the military interferes with people's lives. He tells Ed that he needs to be more resilient in the future. But Ed laments that they are not devils or gods, but only human. Shao Tucker is paid a visit by a scarred man who dispatches him, before doing the same with his daughter. The same themes are present in this episode as before. The arrogance of humans, thinking to play God with the lives of others, be it Scar, Shao, or the military. Shao Tucker refers to Ed as a hypocrite, which seems to echo Cornello's own excuses in the previous episode. I could argue that what the boys did was born of naivety. You could say that all they wanted to do was bring their mum back. The difference between them and the others is that Shao Tucker and Father Cornello's sins were born out of selfish means. But the truth is, the Erwick's desires to bring back their mother, though understandable, is still selfish. Tucker is obsessed with his desire to create a talking chimera. This obsession with being a state alchemist, with the status and position that comes with it, leads him to barbaric acts. He acts with a single focus, missing the irony that it won't help him. Not really. Him having a daughter that suddenly disappears would not be as easily explained as his wife leaving, making the act of creating a chimera moot. The introduction of Scar brings a new dynamic, as he is killing state alchemists, but for what reason we don't know. Although we are reminded once again of the Ishvalan War, in which it has already been hinted that the military had not acted ethically. Scar is shown to be violent, attacking state alchemists without provocation. In the same vein, he is capable of mercy.
You poor creature. Once you've been given this form, there is no way of separating you again. At least, your passing will be in peace.
We find out Scar believes in God. He has faith, and so we see through his acts of mercy that there is more to his pursuant's acts of violence against the state alchemist. Ed realizes in this episode, for all their power, all their abilities, they are not gods nor devils, but only human. The Erwick's again appear to be the only ones that understand their place in the world, between military devils and holy assassins.